With June being Youth Month, there is much talk about the plight of young South Africans not gaining employment. It's not a new problem. There are issues with lack of opportunity and also barriers to employment. Generally, though, there is, I understand, a consensus that creating an enabling environment for employment is critical for more jobs to be created. So that makes sense. And at the heart of all of this, quality education lies at the center of economic inclusion for youth. I'm going to discuss that a little further now with Erica Kempken from the organization Youth at Work. So Erica, let's start with this. Can you elaborate on the importance of creating a supportive environment for young adults, and also reference supervisors and how this contributes then to the success of the program?
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Yes, young people don't have work experience. So the first barrier to getting a job is, have you got experience? No, and the door gets closed. So for that door to be open, we need employers to take in young people who have not got experience, who might not even have the qualifications necessary. So they need to play a role of coaching, of mentoring, of transferring skills, of being really hands-on within that first year. And we have seen that by doing that, the young people really become employable because they've got access to online learning, they've got access to Wi-Fi and laptops in the work environment generally, and they upskill themselves incredibly quickly. So that enabling environment for the first step is absolutely critical in order to grow employment.
You will concede, though, that many organizations would be resistant because there is a fair amount of risk attached.
Oh, we don't see that much risk in terms of, yes, there's a little bit of investment and time and there is a minimum wage, but you really are getting someone who you can, I won't say mold, but who you can work with, you can really engage with right from the beginning, because there's raw potential and that raw potential can be harnessed. So the risk really is, what if somebody drops out? Okay, they drop out. And you start again. And that's why recruitment is critical. And in recruitment, it's really about the attitude, it's about the willingness, and also for young people to sell themselves and say, yes, I volunteered here, I might not have been paid, or I was in that organization as a chairperson or whatever. So yes, you need to select correctly. Try and select for potential and select for values, character traits, ability, tenacity, endurance, all those kind of things, and then add on the skill and the experience level.
So let's talk about the work now that you're doing, and it's evidenced, you'll tell me, by some fairly impressive data. So a significantly higher absorption rate, almost 50% compared to the absorption in the national labour market of just under 8%. What do you attribute those success factors to then?
Yeah, like I said, recruitment is critical. So recruiting the right youth in the right environment, and for things that they really are interested in, that's number one. Number two is the supervisor and the host environment, that they are open towards youth development, that they really are willing to engage and spend that time in upskilling and reskilling that individual. Another critical component is access to work readiness. All the youth on our program get a phone, and that phone is loaded with learning modules such as, what do you do with your first paycheck? So that you don't have the, I can't come to work because I've actually spent my money on a taxi money. So that you really have got people who can plan, who are engaged, who know. And we don't share these things. We assume people know, how many cups of coffee do you drink? How many sugars do you take? What's acceptable? What's not acceptable? So all of those work readiness modules are tied into the year's program. And then very critical is the end of the 12 months, we work on an exit strategy. And does that mean you want to stay, and you can stay at that organization because you've proven yourself as such a valuable asset that they don't want to let you go? Or have you really created a skills bank that you can sell yourself into another organization? And then we practice interviewing skills, refining your CVs, matching your reference letter from the workplace to your CV, adding on those online learning courses that you've done. So all of that support, and added the network. The network is really important because young people just don't have a network of potential employers they can go to who will reference them or know them. But that combination is what then increases their chances for employability.
You referenced something called the theory of change.
Now, the theory of change is really looking at what are the key factors that then work into creating someone who is employable. And a theory of change is you must have been working for 12 months. We've seen on a number of big youth employment programs, if the duration is 3 to 4 months, there's less of a chance because you just have not had enough time in order to build that resilience level and the skill level. So the theory of change encompasses the time period that they're on, the type of interventions that need to be held. For example, the weekly tracking of the attendance register, things like paying a person. You know, you can't be employable if you really have been volunteering all the time and you haven't engaged in, I won't say a disciplinary hearing, but in employment guidelines and what are the do's and don'ts. So all of those are factors which we monitor very carefully and see that every one of those interventions has taken place in order for that unemployed person to become really employable and be employed.
There is so much discussion in South Africa about the power and the importance of the informal sector. And while we accept that that is true, you'll also make the point that the formal economy remains critical for economic growth, and there are jobs to be had there, particularly in what is termed global business services.
Yeah, so the informal sector really is rife, and there are jobs that are available within the community. And we can see young people, for example, gaining experience in technology. They've got a laptop, they've invested in themselves, they might have bought a printer and a Wi-Fi router, and now they can open an internet cafe in their area. So it's really small businesses that are low entry, they're easily accessible, and there is a demand for their service. And that's the kind of business which we're looking at expanding, because there simply are, one, not enough jobs out there, and two, not everybody wants to be employed in the formal sector. You know, there's lots of people who are making a side hustle out of chickens and eggs and really delivering eggs on a daily basis. And it's doable within the township economy, and it does not have to be formalized, and it offers very valuable employability.
Just a final one. There is so much creativity, there's so much ingenuity among young South Africans. In amidst all the problems that we are experiencing right now, do you remain optimistic?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We see daily stories, and anybody who doesn't believe it, please go and look at our Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram pages. But there are stories every single day of young people posting what this one foot in the door has meant for them. And really, it is that one step in the door that makes all the difference. Being able to prove yourself, being able to showcase what you're able to do, believing in yourself. In our feedback, the number one point that young people have put in there is the growth in confidence. The fact that they believe in themselves, they can go out there and be the difference. So yes, we remain hugely optimistic of the potential that young people have in order to really impact employability.
And you make such an important point about all of this predicated on self-confidence, which is the first building block, I imagine. Erica Kempken from Youth at Work, thank you very much.
Thank you.